Okay, now we're going to do a close reading of the poem. The title is simply the name of this boy. I think he could have, Jackie, she could have called the poem A Ballad of Brendon Gallacher, but I think, well, I don't know why she didn't, but he was 7 and I was 6. There's that difference that kids make, which is an important thing, your age. Age and identity. I mean, when you read the poem a few times, and we've already decided that this is the death of an imaginary character, you get these specifics that you ask yourself, you have to ask yourself, why these specifics? What do they reveal? How do they help her imagine? And you notice their compliments: Irish, Scottish, prison, and cat burglar. Whereas her dad was in the Communist Party and a worker. I mean, here you get boring, seemingly, and exciting. Prison, burglar. To add to that, he's got 6 brothers. Speaker's only got 1. You get that repetition of my Brendon Gallacher. That's that ballad song type thing. That the my ownership of him. Exaggeration, perhaps. He would hold my hand. It's funny now lately, especially reading this poem about, there's something very sweet, I find, innocent. 6 and 7-year-olds holding hands. Why is this character imagining someone holding her hand? Is she lonely? A lot of our characters seem lonely. She'd take by the river, and he talked about being poor. Now, this seems to me an important fact because these narratives, I mean, I don't know if Jackie Kay the poet, the character in this poem at 6 or 7 was poor, but certainly some affiliation with the Communist Party would be, she would be sensitive to that poverty. She would want to listen to it. It would matter. Her father was clearly someone who was empathetic, and in her imagination, so too was she. His aspiration, this character that she makes up, is to release his mom from the poverty of Glasgow. You get that wonderful. Again, you get so much from dialect. And here we get a reveal that isn't the way he spoke, remember? That's the way she imagined he spoke. So you could imagine if Sing from Sing Song was an imaginary friend of yours, you might dabble some Indian slang into this poem. But anyway, a wee holiday, someplace nice, someplace far. The speaker says, it figures that she must share these stories with her mother. And the stories she wants to share are that his mom actually drank in Glasgow. Not just poverty, but alcoholism. You get this melodramatic kind of storyline. Daddy was a cat burglar. Again, you get that exact repetition of phrases. And Mom, also quite progressive and forward-thinking, so just why not have him to dinner? And the speaker, of course, says, no. He's got big holes in his trousers. Imagine the way he speaks. Imagine his history. Imagine how he looks. Little kids do this. They build up an entire world of characters. But do you know what? So do poets. So do artists. So do novelists. Their characters are people they stitch together from details. We're reading a poem, and it could be an entire fiction, but children believe so intensely that their images come to life in a way. because she'd only meet him alone in the by the barn in the open air. Then one day after we'd been friends for 2 years, one day when it was pouring and I was indoors, this is a 2-year imaginary detail. 2 years imagining, detailing, playing alone in her mind. When you think about it this way, I think this poem takes on a different shape. Mum is speaking to someone, Mrs. Moore, and says, look, the address you gave me, there are no Gallaghers that live there. Now, here that stanza break is important because there are no Gallaghers that live there. Maybe they've run away. Maybe they've died. That's the way I used to read the poem, but not having noticed the exact details. There never have been. Even that line I would hold on to. Say, oh no, the Gallaghers are homeless, that Brendon actually lives out in the brush, he's never been to the house, etc. But no. The speaker acknowledges, and he died then. That then is so important. In that moment, Brendon Gallacher dies. And he died not just in her mind. She doesn't just acknowledge that it's imagination, but he died flat out, like he was shot, maybe, or killed on the bedroom floor. I mean, the imagination of this kid, the imagination, the detail. Again, his spiky hair, his impish grin, his funny flapping ear. These are all specifics. Specific. If you want to imagine something, gotta be specific. You can't just say he was a boy and he had yellow hair, he had spiky hair. That he smiled a lot. No, he had this impish grin. That impish grin means he used to get in a lot of trouble and enjoy it. And he had this flapping ear. That's the one thing he kind of looked kind of funny about. But you can tell almost in that, his funny flapping ear, that she kind of was in love with him. Even though they were young, between the ages of 6 and 8, she spent a lot of time alone in her imagination, building up this character who is her other. And she feels his death. She mourns it. And we know that in this final line, oh Brendon, oh my Brendon Gallacher. She's sad. She's mournful. She feels loss, love. And she doesn't need to say it. It's the repetition. It's the romantic oh. It's the way the poem ends that gives you a feeling of that loss. I did not think much of this poem, but the more time I spend with it, the more issues come up in my mind. And lately, on this reading anyway, I'm very interested in the amount of time this little girl spends alone in her imagination. The form that this poem takes is traditional, and it might be worth you asking why this form, and what would the poem look like if it was in another form.